Okay, I'm going to start with a little video that is entitled, What If? Okay, we're going to skip the brain-waking activities since there's only 3 of us here today, or 4 of us. And we're going to move right into is I have a couple what I call expectations. And again, very simple, is going to have you be responsible. We will take a break and want you to return as far as promptly. If you got a cell phone, please put it on vibrate. And be kind as far as regarding ideas as far as that you'll learn today, especially since we have a new guest here who's from Western Hills and is going to be joining us today. So thanks that you're here because you actually was 3 in the audience today for the videotaping. Okay. So, Joe, you were the only person here last time, so I'm going to have you go ahead and share everything that we talked about last time with the other 2.
We start off with an icebreaker. You already know it. We talked about it. So we started with the icebreaker, 2 truths to the lie. We played that. Yeah. And then we related it then to content. So if you teach whatever, you teach them all. But if you did it with a language arts story, then you could assess and know which kid read it, or the kids can make up their own. So to kind of get them involved. Do you guys do advisory and stuff? And yeah, so like I would even as well with that. We also talked about what else was it in that packet? Do you remember what I handed you? I'm sorry.
Is it the same as what we did, where they had like all the ring, the note cards with the ring and all the different icebreakers?
No, they didn't.
So that was just the icebreaker.
Was one of them.
That was just the icebreaker.
The other thing we did was different roles. So we talked about like timekeeper and focuser. So like Mr. Thomas on our team is going to be the timekeeper. The focuser focuses the person back on task, which we have a really strong willed person, I guess you can say. And so she'll she doesn't care if she hurts feelings. So if we're not on topic, she'll redirect us with that. And then the facilitator and something with the agenda, right in the agenda.
The actually scribe.
The scribe of it. Yeah. That would be me because I'm the team leader. But we I'll just type it up and then we just kind of share off of that. And I was saying that in teams, it's if everyone has like a partnership in it, they're more likely to want to volunteer and want to participate because they have a share in it. So we're trying to involve as many people as possible. Someone last week was saying that usually, or I think it was 2 people said that one person does it all, and then it kind of takes away from the whole team aspect of it. So being able to share those out, and then we had to come up with a goal that we would use, and our goal was to be more efficient in our team meetings. So what we started doing, we'll start I guess officially next week, we'll write it up on Tuesday, was limiting our team meetings just an hour because sometimes, especially got back from break, where it was a 2-hour meeting after school, and it was really long, and then people start getting sidetracked with personal stories or student behavior and what they do in this class and not this class or what they did that day. So if we limit it to an hour, and then me being the facilitator, putting the high priority things at the top of the agenda, and then whatever we don't get to, we'll table it for next time. So being able to be task-oriented and goal-oriented to complete everything.
Okay, and we're going to go ahead and evaluate as far as how well that went. Anything else did we do last time, you remember? We did a team-building activity.
We did a team-building activity where you had to, if you were stuck on a desert island, what materials would you use? And it was 15 or something, right?
Yeah, 15 different materials.
And everything we came up with kind of got shot down, right? Because you were with me.
Yeah, I was with you. Yeah.
Kind of got shot down because it's you didn't need it. There were some, I can't remember, but there were some surprises on that list. Oh, we should have used this. So it was
the magnifying glass.
Yeah, magnifying glass or waterproof matches, because you're matches, but then if they're not waterproof, then you're kind of screwed if it rains or whatever, or if you were in a shipwreck and they all got soaked,
Okay, great. Jamie's been part of the Western Hill program, been working actually individually going out to that school and working with their 7th, 8th grade teams. Jamie, you want to share as far as we've met together a couple times, what we've been doing?
Well, we did the same icebreaker last time. We didn't do the same pair share, not that one. But we did the key ring, where you had the note card, the flashcards that were different colors and that had different activities that we did for I think it was just icebreakers for classes and stuff, and getting them back in and kind of.
There was icebreakers, energizers, comprehension activities, team building activities.
Yes. We had the knot that we did. We were talking about, like, I know the week before that was like the 1-to-4 ratio for the positives and
negatives,
areas to grow or whatever. We talked about the visual, hearing, the senses, and which one were the percentages, and vision was like 80%? 75%.
Very good.
That I thought was interesting. That's about.
Okay. No, that's good.
That's the big things I remember.
Okay. Wonderful. Okay, so we're going to move on. And I got a couple goals for the three of you today. First goal is that we are actually going to look at the evaluation questions. So, Joe, since you guys have put together as far as your initial goal, we're going to evaluate it by using 7 questions and see as far as how effective you reach that particular goal. Then we are going to identify different approaches to resolving conflicts today, and that's why you have the information regarding conflicts. And then as before, we're going to continue as far as to develop connectedness, even though I think Michael and Joe, you're probably pretty well connected. Am I correct to a certain extent? Okay, as far as that team. So we'll see if Jamie becomes part of that connectedness as far as working together. So the idea is that not knowing how well the teams are is to have the team as far as connect as far as on different levels. So that's always the continuing goal as far as throughout this whole process. Okay, so with that in mind, this is very, very important. This is an option for you because I know you're definitely welcome to come back if you want to. But for Joe, Michael, and the other person who will be coming, Joe?
Mike, they're both Mike.
Okay, both Mikes, I need for you to take something called the VIA, okay? This is the website for the connection for the VIA. And we're going to talk about strengths, the strength of your team. First, the individual strengths of the person. And there's actually 24 strengths, and we're going to talk about those. And basically, by taking this particular, and I will also put this on the web. Okay, so you also have the address there, but I just want to let you know as far as that what we're doing is that there's 3 different versions. The version, you can take any of the 3, but 2 of them you actually have to pay for. I'm recommending at least that you take the free version. And what it will do, it's going to ask you a whole series of questions, little survey questions. It'll take that information and it will kind of plot what are your, what we call top strengths, and it will actually kind of list those strengths. And those top strengths are considered signature strengths, and we're going to talk about those. Now, Joe, ideally, if you can get, how many members are on the team? 6? Yeah. Ideally, if you could get everybody to take that and then bring the results in, because what we're going to do is look not only individual strengths, but your team as a whole, we're going to plot and see where your strengths are as a team. Okay, so wonderful activity, not only do with schools, but also I do with corporations to actually see where their strengths are.
Can we do that with our students? Like we all have advisory?
I'm going to say yes and no. There is I think an adolescent version they're in the process of developing, may not have been developed, so it might be something that when you go onto the website to see if there is the adolescent version, if it's completed, and what age group it goes to. There is something else that I know that that all of the middle school students have taken. It's not the VIA, it's something else as far as with
Naviance or whatever it's called. There's a something survey.
There's a survey, a strength survey. Yeah, it's a little bit different, but this is based as far as on the latest research as far as regarding strengths, and we're going to talk greater detail. It might be something we talk at Western Hills. It might not, depending as far as on what our timeline is. But it's something very interesting, not to knowing what your strengths are, but it's actually a piece as far as Mayerson's working on actually a piece with student strengths too. Okay, so it's something as far as you're at the cutting edge of what the research says. Okay. So if you can, if definitely 3 of you, but if you can get the other 3 individuals also to take it, that would be great, because again, we're going to look as far as those particular strengths as far as when we come back. I want to talk a little bit about the research, what it means, most importantly, how it affects your team. Okay? So that's important for next time. Okay. Now, wonderful little cartoon I came up with, and he says, sometimes I think the collaborative process will work better without you. So, but I know that's not how you feel about Joe, right? So, okay. Okay, so with that in mind, this is the process we talked about before, the problem-solving process, and this is what we're going to be talking about Western Hills as far as in, not this time, but coming up. And this is a process that Joe and the other Mike went through, and also the Review East people went through. And this is actually the 5-step process. And I think, Mike, did Joe give you a copy of the handout that kind of takes you through the 5-step process? Okay. And this is what Joe and Mike did last time, and I think also the partner from Walnut Hills. So with that in mind, Joe, Mike, and Jamie, these are the 7 questions that we want to ask as far as a team and regarding their particular goal that they had set. Okay? So Joe, here's the first question. What does it look like now? Okay? So the goal that you put as far as in place, what does it look like?
So, you actually want to answer?
Yeah, we want you to answer. We're going to just go through and answer the 7 questions. Okay?
Well, we set up the time limit on the meetings and stuff, right? It officially starts next week, right?
Correct.
So how do you think it's gonna?
I think it's going to be a work in progress.
Oh, you don't think we're gonna stop on that hour? Or you don't think we're gonna start on time?
So,
Really?
Okay. Okay. So then my understanding is that actually we haven't implemented it at this particular time. It's going to be implemented.
We talked about it.
Okay.
at
We
our
discussed
team
it.
meeting,
Okay.
and then talked about implementing it.
Okay.
It'll be
Great.
implemented next week.
Okay. So then the second question is in relationship, are you satisfied as far as how it looks?
yeah,
Okay.
I think
Okay.
it's needed.
Okay. We
Because
think
the poor
it's
guy's to sit there and wait and waste his time at
yeah.
his desk waiting for the other 5 of us
Okay.
to get in there.
Okay. Now this is very important because if you don't like it, what would you want it to look like?
Well, one of the problems is just waiting. Like we were like, okay, we'll agree at was originally like 2:50. We get out at 2:10. So we're like, okay, 2:20 we'll meet, and then just wait, and then like no one showed up, and then I was like 2:25, and then okay, 2:25 we'll do it. And then so I was like, well, why don't we just do when the bell rings? So the bell rings at about 2:30 for it to go off. But what I didn't tell you guys is whoever's late will then be the first one. We have like someone didn't want to do like write a letter home to the parents, and we all just did not it. Like not it. But I was going to implement. I don't know how you feel about this. Whoever's late is the first one who has to volunteer to do one of those. So then it almost holds you accountable to not being late because you're like, oh man, then I'll have to sign up for something probably I don't want to do.
That's an excellent idea.
Okay.
That's why I didn't think it would. That's why I'm not. That's a little apprehensive about it because I didn't know if there was any accountability. If there's not, why would they get there on time?
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I think that would work much better.
Okay, good. Now, since you're putting into place as far as when we come,
I'll definitely be in place.
okay, good. Because what we'll do is we'll probably come back and review these questions because actually the next one is that if you don't like what it looks like, what do you need to make it look better? So in other words, what we're doing is we're taking your goal, it's not working like it should, and we're taking as far as to another level to go ahead and add additional changes, rectify, edit, whatever needs to be done. Okay? Now, how would we know if we have been successful with it? Okay? Joe? Mike? How do we know if we're going to be successful with that goal?
There would be we'd be through the whole agenda on time.
Okay.
I guess we're going to stop at 3:30 no matter what.
Okay.
So
Okay. So
We start at 2:30. That would be the first step.
okay.
Yeah.
So the first thing we know if we start on time.
Mhm.
Okay. Second, we know if we got through the whole agenda because we're stopping at 3:30
Yeah.
anyway.
No
So
matter
those
what,
are the
yeah.
2 indicators for you.
Mhm.
Okay. Good. What can we do to keep it like that? So if you like it and it's working, one of the problems is maintenance. Mike, Joe, how do you keep it going? That particular goal.
Not changing
Feel like
it up, right?
Yeah, I mean, if it works,
Why change
we
it?
won't change it.
Make sure it keeps,
Right, you won't change it, but how can you make sure
sure
that
it keeps working.
it continues to work?
I guess continue to start on time or continue having accountability.
Mhm.
Continue to set like incentives.
Yeah. So, because we do have a snack, a team treat. We like switch off. Because sometimes I don't know, we're sitting there like, oh, I'm so tired, but like we have like a little bit of sugar or something like that. It helps out. Be nice. If we all had ice cream cones. That'd be good.
Yeah.
Okay, they say, Jamie, they like your
No,
idea. Ice cream cone.
Have your meeting at.
At Raiders,
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, the last is very interesting. What can you do to make it even more efficient and durable? So if it does work and you like it, anything as far as to add to it to even make it better?
I don't know. We do a lot. Stopwatch. That's what. Well, he has the for the
Yeah,
whole
it's supposed to be
time.
the timer.
Oh, the timer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now was the timer piece added as far as to the discussion last time? As far as
Yeah.
that he was
I
the...
piped in one time to say we're running a little bit over.
Yeah,
Okay, okay.
Now, Crowns to Computers, new initiative for the New Year's, there's 8-inch time, the
I have
actual
a
timer.
huge one.
The 8, yeah, that's
Wow.
there was some letter.
I saw an email today.
Mhm. It was
The
those
crayons a lot.
ones that you circle, it's got the little red things.
Yeah.
Yeah, that.
Well, yeah. I mean, he's pretty good on his iPhone. Not to cut you off. He's pretty good on his iPhone to have. Because that was part of it. Like, we went through the agenda, and there was, I don't know, 45 minutes left. We still had 4 pages of the agenda left, or whatever it was. It was just like,
Pages of it.
oh, it was 6, wasn't it?
What the
Mm-hmm.
heck do y'all have to talk?
What are you talking about?
Everything.
6 pages?
Everything.
We have a lot
We're
of
quite involved.
we have a lot of student concerns, and we have a teacher who Zen's pretty much like a mom to a lot of these kids. Wouldn't you say? Like very invested, knows like everything about them. So I know we're getting off track, but
No, yeah, and as I said, that's important
Focus.
because, as I said, the
Oh,
key
okay.
is for your goal is that how do you deal if that particular issue comes up and they actually want to continue as far as to talk about things that might not be as relevant as far as to how's that addressed? I'm just curious.
We have the focuser, Miss Jones.
Okay.
She speaks up.
Okay, so I'll be very curious since it's all going to be put into operation next time the team meets, how everything works. So Joe and Mike, what we'll do is we'll come back to these 7 questions. And Jamie, since we're going to be doing problem solving in 2 weeks as far as our Western Hills, I'm going to actually maybe call on you to share with the team because they've developed plans and this is a way for them to evaluate their plans, going through those particular 7 questions, okay? So the 7 questions for problem solving, your particular goal, basically as far as, is it working? If it's not, what do we got to do to make it better? And if it is working, what can we still even do to make it more efficient and better? Okay, so those are 7 questions. Again, that handout will be as far as on the website, so you'll have all this information. So in the future, even when we terminate, you have the problem solving process and you have the way to evaluate the problem solving process. Okay? Okay, so we were going to do uncommon commonalities. But guess what occurs? We don't have enough people to do uncommon commonalities. So we're going to pass as far as on the team building activity unless Dr. Bill thinks of another one that we can do with 3 people. Okay, so I'm going to move on and we're going to talk about conflict and negotiation. And what we discovered is that conflict is normal. And despite our best efforts, conflict is going to occur no matter what. And it occurs when 2 opposing, quote, parties have interests or goals that appear to be incompatible. Now, I know there's 6 people on your team, and I'm assuming that sometimes there are conflicts that occur on the team. Okay, quite often. Good, perfect, okay. So, Joe and Mike, I'm assuming you're going to be able to share this information with the rest of the team as far as on conflict negotiation, okay. Jamie, how many people on the team?
We have 8.
8. Conflict.
Yeah. 8.
Okay, conflict ever occurs?
Honestly, not really.
Oh, not really. Okay,
Whoa.
that's great, okay.
Like we, over Christmas break, now
Okay, wonderful.
We do actually like each other.
Okay, now what we're going to do is we want to know what conflict, what it looks like. So I will be the 4th person since we have a threesome. And I will pair it with Mike. Joe, I have you pair it with Jamie and talk about as far as when conflict occurs. What does it look like? Give us some ideas.